The Kingdom of My Divine Will in the Midst of Creatures, Book of Heaven, Volume 33, Part 14. June 10th, 1935. Rain of love that our Lord pours upon the creature from within the created things, and how he bilocates in her and sees himself matched in his love. I was doing my round in the acts of the divine will, but while I was doing this, I felt a rain of acts of love pouring upon me from my sweet Jesus. So as I went around in the sun, in the heavens, in the wind, and in all other created things, so did a multiplicity of acts of love pour upon me. To be loved by God is the greatest happiness. It is the most beautiful glory that can be found in heaven and on earth. And I too felt the extreme need to love him. And oh, how I would like to be Jesus himself, so that I too can make for him my reign of love. But no, I felt the great distance, because in him it was real works that were made, while I, poor little one, had to make use of his works in order to tell him that I loved him. So all my love was reduced to the will, and because of this I felt afflicted, for I was not loving him as Jesus could love me. But while I was thinking about this, my highest good, Jesus, with an indescribable love and goodness, told me, "My blessed daughter, do not afflict yourself. Don't you know that I have the power to remedy everything, and to let myself be matched in love by the creature? When it is about her wanting to love, I never render her discontent, because love is one of my passions. And do you know what I do to make one who loves me content? I bilocate myself and take my place in each created thing, and I pour love upon her. Then I take my place in the creature, and I give her the virtue of pouring her love upon me. She makes the love I give her her own, and by right she can give it to me as if it were her own. And I feel the contentment that she loves me as I have loved her. And even though I know it is my own, I don't care about this. I am not stingy, but I care about whether in her will she wants to love me as I love her. And if she could, she would do what I have done for her. This is enough for me, and I am happy to be able to say to her, "You have loved me as I have loved you." Moreover, you must know that I created the whole universe to give it as gift to the creature, and I remained inside each created thing, pouring love upon her. Now, with one who recognizes this gift as a great love from her Creator, the gift is hers. The reign of our love is her own. Therefore, in giving it back to us, she loves us with her whole being, and we feel matched in love by the creature and conquered by her love. And we give it back to her again, to find the continuous exchange of our love and of hers. And if you knew how happy I am, and how my love is wounded, in hearing you repeat that you want to love me, And you love me in each created thing. You love me in my conception, in my birth, in each of my baby tears. I feel them pearled with your love. Each pain, each drop of my blood, I feel the life of your love. And I, to repay you, in each thing I did during my life down here, I do nothing other than form rain of love for you. Oh, if you could see how much love I pour upon you! It is such and so great, that, taken by the folly of my own love, I embrace and kiss my love in you. And in seeing that you feel my embraces and my kisses, how happy I am! And I await yours, to be repaid and requited of so much love. Then I continued my abandonment in the supreme volition, and was going around within the expanse of the heavens, which serves as pavement and footstool of the celestial fatherland, and as vault for the pilgrims down here. It seemed to me that the azure vault performed a double office. It served as a sumptuous pavement for the blessed, and as a royal vault for the pilgrim souls, unifying one and the other together, so that one might be the will and the love of all. Therefore, prostrating myself together with the heavens, I called those up there, and those from the earth, to adore my Creator, prostrating ourselves all together, so that one might be the adoration, the will, the love of all. Then, while I was doing this, my sweet Jesus added, "My daughter, the first duty of the creature is to adore the one who created her. The first act that says sanctity is duty. Duty calls for order, and order gives rise to the most beautiful harmony between creator and creature, harmony of will, harmony of love, of manners, and of imitation. Duty is the substance of sanctity, and since all created things possess and hold, as though by nature, the imprint of true adoration, the creature, united with them, can pay the most perfect adoration to the one who created her. So each created thing is a profound adoration that they send to He who created them. And the creature, uniting together by virtue of our will, places them all in adoration, giving to God the duty of each one, and rising above all, she brings us every one, and comes to palpitate in our heartbeat, and to breathe in our breath. Oh, how sweet and pleasing is this heartbeat and breath within our own! And we, in exchange, palpitate in her heart, and breathe within her breath, giving her the divine heartbeat and breath as life, inheritance, and growth of our Supreme Being in her. And here is how, with the duty of adoration, arises the first duty of the act of creation, that of giving life to her Creator within her soul, giving him the dominion, the freedom to be formed, to palpitate and breathe, filling her with love, so that I can say by deeds, this creature is the bearer of her Creator, and she lets me do whatever I want. So much so that I possess her heartbeat. She has nothing of her own. What is hers is mine, and what is mine is hers. I hold my place of love in her, and she holds her place of honor within mine. Hence, heaven and earth exchange the kiss of peace and of permanent union. Fiat. June 17th, 1935. How God, by giving us the human free will, placed himself at our disposal, feeling the creature, adapting himself to her, as though being in need of her. Loving conditions in which God put himself for love of the creatures. I was doing my round in the divine volition, and I paused in everything that my celestial mamma had done in the divine will. My God, what surprise! This divine fiat, bilocated, multiplied, operating, forming such enchantment of beauty, of grace, of works, has to stupefy not only heaven and earth, but God himself, as he sees himself enclosed in the sovereign queen, and operating as God in her, as he operated within himself. And oh, how I wished I could give to God, on my part, all that glory that the sovereign lady gave him in all those acts, that the divine will had done in the sacrarium, in the hiddenness, within the veils of the immaculate lady. But while I was thinking of this, my highest good, Jesus, surprising me with his short little visit, told me, "My little daughter of my divine volition, there is no greater prodigy, nor greater goodness and love, or boundless magnanimity on our part, than to descend to the low level of the human will, and operate in it as the God that we are, as if we were operating within ourselves. And behold, in our infinite wisdom, taken by excess of love toward the creature, we gave her the little human free will, independent from all. By giving her this free will, we placed ourselves at her disposal if she wanted for us to descend into her littleness and lowliness, to operate as God, and for our will to do in her what it can do in our Supreme Being. This was the greatest prodigy, and the love which no other love could equal, giving the human will to the creature, almost to remain subject to her, as though wanting to depend on her in the good that we want to operate in her, and in the works that we must carry out. Is this not an insuperable finesse of love? And then, giving her this will for her free willing, so that the creature might be able to say to us, "You have come into my home, and I must come into your home. Hence, you do whatever you want in me, and you will let me do whatever I want in you." This was the agreement that we set between her and us, and by giving her the free will, she could tell us that she was giving us something that was in her power. Is this not a magnanimity, a love, that surpasses everything that only our Supreme Being could do and wanted to. But this is not all. Our love gazed fondly at this free will of the creature, and formed as many centers in order to bilocate itself in them, and form as many kingdoms of dominion in which we were to show off our divine works, multiplying them to infinity, without restriction, without limits, operating in these centers as God, as if we were operating within ourselves. More so, since in the small human wills our love showed off more, used more power, because it takes more art to restrict our immensity within the small circle of the human wills, almost putting a limit to our power, to lower it unto the low level of the human volition. And then, feeling the creature with us in what we had to do, because we want her operating together with us, almost adapting herself to us, and we adapting ourselves to her, and our love is so great as to adapt itself also to her human ways. This gives us more to do. Our love pours out more, and loves unto the excesses this human will that gives it its royal palace, its free dominion. On the other hand, in operating outside of the human circles, who doesn't know that we can do anything, and we have an immensity that can reach anything, a power with no limits. If it wants it, it can do anything. A wisdom that disposes everything. A love that loves all and envelops all, even if it is not loved back. Our Supreme Being is free. It has need of no one, and can do whatever it wants. And since we can do anything, we do not work in doing the greatest works. It is enough to want it, and in one instant we do everything. On the other hand, when we want to operate in the creature, as though being in need of her, we must attract her. We must tell her how much we love her, and what we want to operate. We don't want a forced will. Therefore we want her to know it, and spontaneously open the doors to us, feeling honored to give us the operating place within her will. In such conditions did our love put us in the creation of man. It loved him so much as to reach the excess of giving him the free will, so that he might be able to say, I can give to my Creator. Could our love him more? This is why the glory, the honor that the creature gives me when she lets me operate in her will is so great that no one can comprehend it. It is our same glory and honor that she gives us. In all her acts runs our life, our love. She can say, I give God to God. This is the highest point that the creature can reach. It is the most excessive love that a god can reach. Oh, if the creatures would comprehend the love, the great gift that I gave them, by giving them a free will. I elevated her above the heavens, the sun, the entire universe. I can do whatever I want over anything, without anyone knowing anything. But with the creature, I lower myself. I ask her with love for a little space within her will, to be able to operate in her and do good to her. But alas, many deny it to me, and render my will inoperative within their human will. My sorrow is infinite in the face of such great ingratitude of theirs. Now, who would you admire more? A king who operates within his royal palace, where he holds everything in his power, command over all, doing good to all, his palace equipped for anything the king wants to do, or a king who descends unto the low level of a hovel and carries out the same action he would do in the royal palace? Would it not be more admirable? Would it not be a greater sacrifice, a love more intense, to operate as king in the little hovel rather than in the royal palace? In the palace, all things are suited to let him operate as king, while in the hovel, the king must adapt himself to it, and be so ingenious as to be able to do the same actions he would do in his palace. So we are. To operate in the royal palace of our divinity, to do great things, is our own nature. But to do them in the hovel of the human will gives of the incredible. It is the greatest excess of our love. Fiat. July 8th, 1935. Inseparability of one who lives in the divine will with her Creator. The Queen of Heaven, together with Jesus, in instituting the Most Holy Sacrament. The children of the divine will shall be suns and stars that will crown the celestial sovereign. It seems to me that I can't find rest if I do not abandon myself in the arms of the divine will, which flings me into its endless sea, where I find what it did for love of the creatures. And now I pause at one point, now at another of its multiple works, and I admire them, I love them, I kiss them, and I thank the divine will for such great magnificence and so many loving industries toward us miserable creatures. But while going around, to my surprise, I found myself before the great lady, our Queen and Mother, the most beautiful work of the Sacrosanct Trinity. I remained here, contemplating her, but I have no words to be able to say what I comprehended. And my beloved Jesus, with an unspeakable sweetness and love, told me, "My daughter, how beautiful is my mamma! Her empire extends everywhere. Her beauty enraptures and chains all. There is not one being that does not bend its knees to venerate her. So was she made for me by my divine will. It made her inseparable from me in such a way that there was no act I did which the sovereign queen did not do together with me. The power of that divine fiat, pronounced by me and by her, which made me be conceived in her virginal womb, giving life to my humanity, that fiat, always identical. And each time I operated, The divine fiat of my mother held the right within my divine fiat to do what I was doing. Now you must know that when I instituted the sacrament of the Eucharist, her divine fiat was together with mine, and together we pronounced the fiat that the bread and the wine be transubstantiated into my body, blood, soul, and divinity. Just as in being conceived I wanted her fiat, so did I want it in this solemn act, which gave origin to my sacramental life. Who would have had the heart to put my mamma aside in an act in which my love showed off with such exuberant excesses as to seem incredible? Rather, not only was she together with me, but I constituted her queen of the love of my sacramental life. And she, with love of true mother of mine, offered her womb to me again, her beautiful soul, to keep me defended and sheltered from the horrendous ingratitudes and enormous sacrileges which, alas, I would receive in this sacrament of love. My daughter, this is my purpose. I want my divine will to be life of the creature, so as to keep her together with me, to let her love with my love operate in my works. In sum, it is the company of the creatures that I want in my acts. I do not want to be alone. And if it were not so, why call the creature into my will, if I were to remain an isolated God, and she alone, without taking part in our divine works? And not only in instituting the most holy sacrament, but in all the acts I did during the whole course of my life, by virtue of the one will by which we were animated. Whatever I did, my mamma did as well. If I performed miracles, she was together with me, operating the prodigy. I felt in the power of my will, the sovereign of heaven, calling the dead to life together with me. If I suffered, she was together with me in pain. There was not one thing in which I did not have her company, and her operating and mine fused together. This was the greatest honor that my fiat gave her, the inseparability with her Son, the unity with his works, and it was the greatest glory that the Virgin attested to me, so much so that I placed, and she received, the deposit of the works done in her maternal heart, jealous in keeping even the breath. This unity of will and of works ignited such love between us as to be enough to set the whole entire world aflame and consume it with pure love. Jesus became silent, and I remained in the seas of the celestial sovereign. But who can say what I comprehended? And my highest good, Jesus, continued saying, "My daughter, how beautiful is my mamma! Her Majesty is enchanting. Before her sanctity, the heavens lower themselves. Her riches are endless and incalculable. No one can be said to be similar to her. This is why she is Lady, Mother, and Queen. But do you know what her riches are? Souls. Each soul is worth more than an entire world. No one enters into heaven if not through her, and by virtue of her maternity and of her sorrows. So each soul is a property of hers, and this is why, indeed, she can be given the name of true lady. See then how rich she is. Her riches are special, are full of lives, speaking, loving, singing the praises of the celestial lady. As mother she has her innumerable children. As queen she will have her people of the kingdom of the divine will. These children and this people will form her most refulgent crown, some as suns, others as stars. They will crown her august head with such beauty as to enrapture the whole of heaven. So the children of the kingdom of my divine will shall be those who will render to her the honors of queen, and transforming into sun, they will form for her the most beautiful crown. This is why she longs intensely for the coming of this kingdom, because after her refulgent crown, with which the most holy Trinity crowned her, she awaits the crown of her people, who, proclaiming her queen, would offer to her their life transformed into sun as attestation of honor and of glory. Oh, if they comprehended what it means to live in my will, how many divine secrets would be revealed! How many discoveries they would make about their Creator! Therefore, be content with dying rather than not live in my will. Fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 33, Part 14. Fiat.